The first question is in English. It says, if there is reincarnation, why we have more people in the world every year? You see the logic behind this question? It says, you are telling me that there's reincarnation, and that means somebody die, and somebody go to the inferno, somebody go to the animal kingdom, somebody go to the fairyland in heaven. But how come there's more and more people in here? Where do people come from? Is there in reincarnation? Well, I'm not questioning the illogical conclusion of your question, but I can tell you, your assumption that we are confronting more and more people since the history of civilization, that assumption may not be right. Let's look at the history of mankind. In the just about a few years ago, there was a genocide in Africa. Rwanda. In 2 months, the atrocious genocide wiped out 800,000 people. And these people were their brothers and sisters. They kill each other. So in a few months, 800,000 people were killed in the genocide. And during the Japanese occupation, how many Asians were killed? Just in the Hitler's atrocious era, 6 million Jews were killed. Have you accounted for that? So that means that there hasn't been always an increase in population. In the Second World War, I haven't seen any statistics, but as far as I can remember, more than 30 million people were killed. How about in the First World War? How about a town that is all of a sudden swallowed up by volcanoes, by glaciers? How about all these natural disasters? Now, so your assumption that every year population increase, there are many things that you haven't accounted for. Within 10 years, just in the Cultural Revolution of China, within the 10 years, how many people were killed? Everybody knows about that now. The Cultural Revolution was a mistake that everybody recognized. So your assumption that the population is always increasing may be short-sighted, maybe within a few years. Now, I assume that you are right. That assumption is foolhardy assumption, that I assume that you're right. Even if I foolhardily assume that you're right, we have 6 paths of reincarnation. Humans can be animals, animals can be inferno, inferno can be heaven. Bacteria can become a cow. A pig could become a little worm. How do we know how much population? Inside your body, there's a lot of worms, parasites. There's a population of worms and parasites in the human body. And when they die, they reincarnate too. Now, how do we account for the total number of sentient beings? It's almost impossible. I still remember just 2 or 3 years ago, I have a religious organization who came to the back building, and one of the students stood up and asked me a question. Wow, you're talking about reincarnation. Tell me the total population of the world. It's been increasing. You tell me the total population. In other words, he accused me of contradicting myself. I said, you're asking me a statistics, and that statistics to you may be useless. You're asking me a number, I can give you a number. 360 billion, 0.253. Does it mean anything to you? Just a figure does not mean anything. The world is not static. We're not looking at population at one point. Everything is changing. How can you account for something changing with something that's static? Nothing is not changing. So, to answer your questions, I would like to question the logic of your questions. I would like to say that your assumptions are foolhardy assumptions, too bold, too presumptuous. And there's so many paths of reincarnations. How can you account for sentient beings in each path? So that answers the question. Next. Sifu, what are the 3 poisons? The 3 poisons? You got it here? Attraction, aversion, and ignorance. Attraction? The 3 poisons, the 3 poisons are generalizations of all our mental afflictions. It does not mean that the 3 poisons, you take the name by its meaning. The 3 poisons are what? Tam, chan, chi. Greediness. Chan is what? Hatred. Chi is ignorance. Greediness, hatred, and ignorance. Are those all mental afflictions that we have? No, they're just generalizations. There's so many of them. For example, in greediness is a generalization. Greediness of what? Greediness of wealth, status, greediness for reputations, greediness for sexual misconduct, greediness for many, many things. It's just a generalization that encompasses all our mental afflictions. They classified it. And the next is what? The next is hatred. And hatred includes what? Anger, violence. These are just generalizations. And ignorance. Ignorance is another generalization for all the misunderstanding that we have. For our perverted views, for our frustrations, anxiety, disappointment, fear, jealousy, hatred, envy, you name them. Those are just generalizations. Well, instead of just knowing the names, why don't we find out where do the poisons come from? Is it more important to find out where the poisons come from rather than just memorizing the definitions of poisons? Where does karma come from? What is karma? Karma comes from causality. What is causality? Causality is all the causes put together that give rise to karma. But what things make karma arises? Environments. All these different causes, all these different things make things happen. Causality. And it originates from the mind. All these 3 poisons originate from the mind. So what are we doing this morning? What do we do this morning? We are doing mindfulness meditation. We train our mind. We control our mind. We make sure that our mind is under our control. And some people say, hold it. It's my mind. My mind is under my control. My body is under my control. I want to raise my hand, I can raise my hand. I don't want to raise my hand, I don't raise my hand. When I want to walk, I walk. When I don't want to walk, I just sit. My body is under my control. My mind, my brain is under my control. I said, it's not under your control. If it's under your control, you wouldn't get mad. You wouldn't kill. You wouldn't lie. It's when you are not under your control that you are doing all these evil deeds. And when you're doing these awful evil deeds, you get the karma coming out. When you get the karma coming out, you will get retribution for this karma. How can you avoid mental affliction if someone continuously and purposely nurturing you? Tell him to get away. Leave me alone. If he doesn't want to get away, you get away. Is it a simple, straightforward answer? You don't blame him. No, I should qualify what I said. You don't tell him to get away. Don't say, get lost. Don't do that. Don't do that. you get away. You walk away. Now, walking away is a movement. If you don't walk away, the best and the most intelligent technique to respond to you being nurtured by people is what? Your mind walk away. That means what? You're not attaching to it. You detach your mind from your anger. You are here, people is pointing his fingers at your nose. There's nothing. You're not attaching to the pointing of fingers. You don't attach to the object. You are the subject. You don't attach to the object. The object is scolding you, even hitting you, blaming you, cursing you. That's the subject. You are the object of being cursed. Now, if you create yourself as an object, you're attached to this cursing, trouble comes out. You are like a mountain. All these clouds, different clouds, go to overcome you. You just let the clouds overcome you, and the clouds will walk away. The clouds will be drifted away. You don't attach to it. Let it come, let it go. Let it come, let it go. Or somebody say, no, he's hitting me. He's putting his fist on my body. Then you walk away. If he's really hurting you, you call the police. Don't you know how to dial 911? You just walk away. Don't attach your mind to it. Put it down. Don't attach to it. No ego, no personality, no life, no beings. 無我相、人相、眾生相、壽者相啊嘛。No attachment. Emptiness. You empty it. Empty your anger. Empty your revenge. Empty your fury. Empty your attachment. That's what the Diamond Sutra said. Don't try to hit back. Don't try to empty him. Empty your mind. That's the question. You spoke about absolving oneself of the ego, of personality and life. How does one resolve the transcendental and the relative? That is, how can one be in the world without an ego but not be of it? Well, I think I understand what you mean, but I'm not so sure. But then I'll try to answer from my perspective. What you're saying is, yes, the Diamond Sutra tells us to get rid of our ego, personality, being, and life. I can get rid of that, but how can I get rid of something transcendental, something that I don't see? How can I live in this world and assume that I'm without myself? I don't have an ego. Well, you are coming down to this world, you come with a karmic body. And this karmic body has to suffer. This body is karmic body, is suffering now. What is it suffering? Sickness, aging, disease, emotions, unnecessary passions. As I said, always said, depression, anxiety, all kinds of things this body is going through. Even if you say, I want to go beyond all this, you always will fall back into that unless you're fully enlightened. An arahat, if it is not in meditation, sometimes he would become selfish in something, but then if it is meditation, he won't be it again. So when you're practicing, you try to be as pure as possible. You try to be as unegoistic as possible. But you still have to live in this world. You can't be without a body. It's just like taking an example of a mirror. A mirror reflects all the images in the mirror. And you think that the mirror can say, I don't want these images. I don't want these images of greediness, hatred, passions. You just let the images come and go. You don't obstruct them, and you have no ability to obstruct them. But then you have that one purity of reflectability that is always there. You wouldn't lose it. That reflectability is pure. And this poor little mirror say, no, all these images is me. All these images appear in me as me. But the Buddha said, no, they're not you. They're just images. They're just delusions. Don't take them as real. What is real? Your reflectability is real. How come you mistakenly assume that images are real and you don't have a reflectability? Your reflectability is inborn. Your reflectability is pure. Don't attach to the images. The images are transient. The images are nothing but mental afflictions. They come, let them come. Don't attach to them and let them go. That's how you interact with it.